Hi, my name's Svetha Nallapaneni. I was born and raised in Canfield, Ohio, and I'm currently located in New York City. Some of my highlights in my dance career would definitely be finishing my first season as a Radio City Rockette this past year. I'm a former Nick City dancer. I've been so fortunate to dance on episodes of SNL and a lot of other live TV events, including the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, Live with Kelly and Mark, and The Today Show.
Hi, I'm Diego Pasillas. I am a professional dancer. I am originally from Huntington Beach, California, but I'm now based out of Los Angeles. I started dancing at the age of 7, and now at 22, my career has really taken off, and I've been working as a professional for about 4 years now. I have worked on music videos, commercials, TV shows, movies, live performances, and when I was 16, won a TV dance competition show called World of Dance, and I'm now on a world tour with Katy Perry.
Hi, my name is Destini Hendricks. I was born and raised in Orlando, Florida, and now I currently live in New York City. I have tapped in a lot of different fields within the concert world, commercial world, and theater world. I also teach dance and get to travel. I started off very young, just being from Orlando. We're in a couple commercials, just doing things on the Disney parks, Universal parks. Now moving to New York and going to school and getting my BFA in commercial dance and making those connections opened a lot of doors as well. I booked my first big girl job on Broadway. I was in The Wiz. I did a lot of different smaller musicals and things at regional theaters as well, and a lot of different workshops for shows that are on Broadway. I also joined a company. I was an assistant choreographer on a music video. I've done a lot of print work as well for certain brands and other random projects at different events. So I do a lot of different things and I'm very grateful.
Hi, my name is Hudson and I'm a professional dancer and choreographer based out of New York City. I was born and raised in Lexington, South Carolina, and I started dancing when I was 9 years old. And post high school, I moved to New York to attend Pace University, and I received my BFA in commercial dance in 2020. I would say that my dreams and aspirations as far as dance goes really started out with me wanting to perform and be on stage. And just after learning more about myself in college and getting into adulthood, I really shifted into teaching and choreography, and that is my sole purpose today. So I travel around the country, around the world, teaching young dancers, as well as teaching professionals here at Broadway Dance Center in New York City.
Hi, my name is Laine Wilson. I was born in Nebraska. I was raised in Phoenix, Arizona. I went to school in New York City, and now I'm currently based in Seoul, South Korea. So kind of from everywhere. So I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Commercial Dance from Pace University. Then while I was in school, I did 2 years as a Radio City Rockette. Nowadays, I'm working in Seoul. I do a lot of concerts, artist work. I also do a lot of promo shoots and shots on video for my company out in South Korea. Other than that, I've done some skeleton crew work, some music video things, stage performances out in LA. Yeah. Mostly, I'm an artist girly.
I believe that social media is kind of like our resumes now in a way. You know, the dance industry has definitely evolved and expanded throughout the years with using social media. And we kind of use it now as a tool and an outlet to scout new talent or possibly book people for jobs. So a lot of the jobs that I booked have actually been through my Instagram. I remember moving to Los Angeles and COVID was just dying down, so there wasn't really a lot of in-person auditions at the time. Choreographers and casting agents would hop on your Instagram and they would start watching videos of you in class, and they would either book you right then and there, or they would send you a message asking for a self-tape, which is you setting up a camera in your living room, your kitchen, wherever you are, and slating your name and either dancing to a song or learning a combo that they sent over to you and just sending that over via email, and you would find out if you booked the job or not. I remember posting me dancing in class and it ended up going viral, and I started getting a lot of audience from out of the country, and I ended up connecting and meeting someone from the Netherlands. He was coming to LA, so he wanted to get into a studio, and I was like, sure, let's do it. So we ended up making a little combo up together, and we posted that on Instagram, and it started getting a lot of views. And the next week, Calvin Klein reached out to us, and they wanted us to be a part of their 2024 Pride campaign.
I actually have been directly booked through my Instagram profile. This happened pretty recently. I just did a Maybelline campaign last month, and the creative team found me completely from my Instagram profile. And one of the things that they pointed out is that they loved not only my dance content and my current photos, but they loved the human side of me. They said I looked so fun and sweet, and they just couldn't wait to work with me, which was so heartwarming and such a great thing to hear, because you never know how you're being perceived on social media, and to get such positive feedback and for that to bring me such an amazing opportunity was so cool in full circle, I think, because as dancers and models and talent in general, we're always constantly worried about how we're being perceived by people in person, but also on social media.
As far as the evolution of dance within the industry, I definitely feel like social media has changed the way dancers book jobs. I think it is so much easier for choreographers, casting directors, whoever, to look you up, see who you're about, what you got going on, all the things, and then be like, oh, I want her, or I don't want her. And it can be a little frustrating sometimes. But it's also, I think, a really cool thing that you are able to post whatever on this page that is a representation of you. And instead of going through a long process of having to do an audition, whether it's in person or self-tape, this person can just go on your profile and be like, I like her, this video looks good. She'll be able to pick it up, DM or agent, hey, da-da-da-da, and boom.
So the moment I think I realized that social media is essential in the dance industry is probably the moment I got to Korea. So after I graduated from school, I moved straight to South Korea and started training and working out there. Out in Seoul, there are no dance agents, there's no managers, anything like that. There's not even auditions. It's fully just Instagram. People get hired based on their Instagrams. And I think that being out there and trying to book work, when in school, I made my whole resume and got everything ready in that way. And then I get to the industry I want to work in, and they don't care about your resume. They don't even care about headshots. None of that. It's all about how you present online. I think that was really the moment that opened my eyes to how important the internet really is this day and age in our industry. Have I ever been direct booked for jobs? Actually, pretty much exclusively through my Instagram. In Korea specifically, I've only done one audition, and that was because it was an American company doing a job in Korea, which is the only reason why there was an audition. Everyone else there, that was their first ever audition they've ever been to. But other than that one specific time, everything I've done in Korea has been direct book through my Instagram DMs. It's just the way that the industry works over there. And so every day I'm constantly looking through my DMs and my requests to double check that there's nothing in there from a performance director or a choreographer that's looking for my availability for something, because I would hate to miss an opportunity because I didn't check through my requests. So literally everything I do is through direct book.
I definitely think that social media has a massive impact on the dance industry in so many ways. Do I remember the moment that I realized that social media was essential for success? Yes, I do. It was my sophomore year of college, and up until that point, I had been sharing little baby clips of my choreography on my Instagram story, or sometimes I would do a post, and just had this feeling one day to create a separate account for my choreography alone, so completely separated from my personal Instagram account. And I very quickly realized how it was going to become my biggest business tool. And flash forward now, 8 years later, every single choreography job I have ever booked has been from that account. And in a lot of ways, looking back on that decision to do it felt so, for lack of a better term, innocent. I just wanted a separate place to share my work. And it very quickly became almost a digital portfolio, if you will, in a way that people could just go to that page, see clips of my work, and basically decide whether or not they wanted to hire me. So now I would say I use my choreography account probably double the amount that I use my personal account, and I definitely didn't see that coming when I started it.
I do believe that in-person auditions are very important. I think it kind of depends on the audition. If we're going to compare if they're just as important as how they used to be, I feel like overall, no, only because back then there obviously wasn't as much social media or internet or anything to kind of spread who you were as a performer. So the only way to be able to get connected and for someone to see you was to show up in person for the audition. But I will say it is still just as important. I just think there's other tools that we are able to use, but certain calls you need to be there in person. And if you're not there in person, then that was your chance and that's it, you know? I think it's still important. It just really depends on that job.
I think social media has changed the way that people book jobs in a lot of ways. Even if you are to go to an in-person audition, the casting directors and the choreographers and performance directors are all going to pretty much first look through your social media channels. They need to do a little background check. They also are looking for your dance footage, your styles that you enjoy, who are your friends, what are your hobbies, what do you like to do on the weekends, what do you post about that's not just dance content. I think that our social media channels are like our diaries, they're very personal, and people like to see who you are before they put you in a room and pay you to be there. So it's not just about the way you present in the room, it's also about how you present online.
So the first time that I really got a big break on social media was when I was 16 and I just won a TV dance competition show. After that, my followers and my likes and my views just started to skyrocket, and it was super crazy to see as a 16-year-old because millions across the world were watching me, and that was crazy to think about. But after I won the show, COVID hit, so there was really nothing to do but go on social media and post videos of you dancing or trick videos. I started doing that, and my followers and my likes and my views just kept going up.
So my first big break from social media was actually quite recently. My company is called 1 Million. They are based in South Korea, and they are one of the biggest dance entertainment companies worldwide, and they are the biggest dance force over in Korea. And recently I did a promotional video shoot with 1 Million, and that was my first time that they were advertising me as one of their new faces of the company. And after that was posted, I sort of skyrocketed in popularity over in Korea. I started getting recognized in classes, at dance studios. I even got recognized at my hair appointment. So it's really crazy how quickly you can blow up based on just one viral internet moment.
I would say my first big break that came directly from my choreography Instagram account was when I was hired to do choreography for the University of Tennessee dance team. The coach saw a clip of my work on Instagram and sent me a DM and told me that she thinks that my work would translate and be very well received in the college dance team world. At that point, I had zero experience in regards to college dance team. I didn't do dance team in high school, so I went in completely blind. and luckily it was a successful product. And now 5 years later, I'm still working with college dance teams, like upwards of 5 of them. I also think it's important to note too, just the blend now with social media, with the college dance team world and the commercial industry. I would say 5 years ago that most college dance teams were hiring people mainly with dance team backgrounds. And now in 2025, this past year, all top 4 scoring teams at UDA Nationals in Orlando all were choreographed by commercial industry professionals. I think that really came from a place that dance teams started to get more commercialized in general because it's all over social media. It's always trending on TikTok. It's all over Instagram. So I would say actually it's been really cool to see the way that the two realms of the industry have kind of fused together because they could not be any more different. Like I said, I would consider myself very much so a commercial choreographer, and I would never necessarily sign up to do a college dance team. But now that I've done it and I have had experience and I'm able to blend my own ideas and my own experience into that world, it's one of my favorite jobs that I do every year.
I definitely think I'm someone who feels a lot of pressure when it comes to consistently posting and wanting to stay relevant on my social media platforms. I'm always looking for ways to update and elevate my content because I do think it's such an important part of our industry to have your profile look pristine and polished with current dance videos, current photos, but also showing that you are a human being at the very base of it. I think it's so important to show your personality as well as that professional side because people want to work with people that are kind, who probably also have a sense of humor and that do other things as well. I am a big advocate for people always posting and evolving and updating their social medias because I do think it is a really crucial part of our dance industry.
I find it very important to post frequently in order to stay relevant. It's just kind of the world we live in. I think the more that someone sees you, the more that they're reminded of you, and the more that you stay in the forefront of their brain. And that's very important this day and age when there's so many people. The industry is so oversaturated. So staying relevant is very important.
I find myself in moments where there'll be weeks or even days going by where I'm not teaching or I'm not choreographing somewhere, and I find myself scrolling to old videos just to post something on my story. That sounds like a crazy concept, but I do think, unfortunately, social media has become so powerful that it is important to show people that you're still doing the thing, if that makes sense. So to wrap up that idea, I try to remind myself that social media doesn't define my worth, and it definitely doesn't define my work or my choreography, but unfortunately it is important to have some sort of consistent posting going on, especially if you're in a situation like mine where technically I run my own business in a sense. Like everything that I'm booking is coming from that account. So if I go dark or if I'm not posting, followers will go down, people will start to become less engaged, the algorithm will switch. There's a lot of aspects that go into that. But yes, I'm constantly feeling pressure to stay active on social media just so people are reminded I'm still available to be hired.
Although social media is great to have, I also think it comes with its flaws. I think people nowadays, especially the younger generation, they are forgetting the importance of actual dance training and, working hard for your goals and your dreams and, that drive. Because it is so easy to get seen and go viral on social media, people are just throwing out content to get their views and their numbers up. And I feel like that's not the reason why we should be doing this. I feel like we should be, at the end of the day, dancing for yourself because you love it and you want to inspire others.
I think that traditional dance training are some of the most important parts of our industry. I think if you don't have that solid base foundation of your training already set you're not going to be able to grow and evolve in a way that you want to, and in a way that will take you far in your career. I think all dancers should make sure that they have a solid foundation to work from and then grow from there. I think that will take you leaps and bounds in your career as long as you're starting with the basics and going from there.
Traditional training always matters and will continue to matter, and it doesn't matter how evolved we get in our industry. If you don't take class or you can't do the basics, the foundations of dance, then why are you dancing? Hate to say it, but it's very, very true. And I think a lot of people forget that until they get in the room and things are required that you can't do because you think you need to have this, but you don't even have this. And you're trying to do this, but you can't even do this. So yes, traditional training I think is so important, and I'm a firm believer in that, especially traveling and teaching and working with a lot of the younger generation. I'm always an advocate for getting your technique and knowing the foundations of dance.
I think social media rewards what's catchy. The algorithm is always going to push the content that the general public responds to. And unfortunately, that doesn't always mean the greatest quality of things. So the best dancers and the best dance footage is often going to get overshadowed by a dance trend that people are just doing everywhere that's easier and catchier and the normal public demographic can latch onto, I guess. Training is so important. Training in everything, training in basics, training in styles you don't like, you do like, styles that you didn't know existed. I think being well-rounded is your biggest asset as a dancer in this industry. The more styles you can learn about, it's just more tools adding to your belt, and that's just gonna set you up for success in the future. You never know what random skills you might need for a job, and you would hate to have to pass up on your dream opportunity. So being well-rounded and being well-versed is so crucial.
A lot of class culture has become, well, I need to go to class and get a video. No, you're at class to train and hear and learn from the industry professional that you chose to take from, and getting a video is obviously also a cherry on top. It's great to showcase your talent on social media and in other ways, but at the very base of it all, you're there to train and learn. So definitely don't beat yourself up if you make a mistake or you don't get that video or you don't get called out in a small group, because there are so many other positive outtakes from taking that class.
Like I said previously, I think social media is super beneficial for finding and reaching people in a timely manner. So say for instance, a choreographer is last minute looking for an extra dancer for something and they don't have your email, they don't have your number, so they go to your Instagram and they can message you there. And I think that's so great, nowadays, and it makes it so much easier for everyone.
The more choreographers you know, the more likely your chances are of them thinking of you and contacting you directly. It gives you more opportunities to get work.
As far as connections go, I think they are some of the most important parts of being a dancer. Connecting with people, just saying hi, networking with industry professionals that you want to work with will take you so far in your career. People want to see a good, kind person and they want to interact with you, because interacting in person is so different than texting someone or DMing someone over social media. You're getting to connect with that person in real time, and I think that is something that's unbeatable and social media will never be able to replicate. Speaking of connections, I got to dance captain for Shannon Lewis when I was a sophomore at Pace, and convinced her to set my senior solo for me, which was such an honor and we had such a blast doing. And from there, she's hired me on episodes of SNL for the NBCU upfronts. I even got to be a part of the pre-production for the show that just went to Broadway, Just in Time, which was such a cool opportunity, and I wouldn't have had those opportunities if I didn't talk to her, train with her, and make that connection with her. And it's so cool. It is a real amazing person to have in my life.
Again, going and taking class and learning from them, being seen, and making that consistent connection will open so many doors. I feel like a lot of people, that's how they start their career, as far as a direct book or this choreographer can always count on them because they made themselves known to this person, continue to train. And prime example here, my first time meeting Camille Brown, I said, I need her to see me, and I went to an audition that she was holding. I didn't necessarily want to book the show, but I just wanted her to see me. And then she saw me, and then I got an email 3 days later saying that she wanted a private audition with me, basically just me learning work of hers. And then after that, I joined her company. Well, she accepted me in her company, and I just worked more with her. Obviously, I got the opportunity to work with her on a more intimate level and not just classes because she doesn't teach as much, but creating this relationship and having this connection has opened so many doors. She just texts me, hey, can you dance and do da 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 da? And I'm like, yes, of course I can. And boom. I think creating a connection with choreographers and people in the industry, whether they're not choreographers and just people who are in the world and who are on set or film or this, whatever, will get you very, very far.
Do I think social media defines success? Not necessarily. However, I think social media can be compared to street cred, if that makes sense. I don't think that your follower count means more than your actual work that you've done. I think people will see the work that you've done and that speaks for itself. However, I do think that the people that follow you are actually quite important. For example, if you have well-respected dancers and choreographers following you and somebody goes to your account and they see the mutuals, oh, who's this? And it's like, bam, 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 big name, big name, big name, respected people. They're gonna be like, oh, this girl or this boy or this dancer must be the real deal. You know, because you're respected by people that are also respected. I think that it's not necessarily about how many followers you have, but who follows you that's more important. I think in this industry, who you know is often more important than what you know, because those connections are what are gonna get you jobs.
I 100% have struggled with comparing myself to other dancers. I think it can be really tough to always be surrounded by such talented individuals in not only an audition room, a classroom, but also on social media. I'm constantly looking around the room like, oh my gosh, she has something amazing to offer. He has something amazing to offer. What do I have to offer? And I think always reminding yourself and remembering that no one is exactly alike. We all have something to offer in this industry and in this world, and staying true to yourself and showing up completely and authentically yourself is all that you can ask of yourself. And the people behind the table, if you do that, they will see you for who you are and they're going to want to work with you. So I always say, be kind to yourself, remember, do all the things that are gonna make you feel like you and present the best version of yourself. I think the best piece of advice I could give to anyone in this dance industry would be to always show up completely and authentically yourself and be a kind person. People want to work with kind people. Don't sweat the small stuff.
Advice to young dancers navigating social media. Authenticity is the most attractive thing to people in terms of casting, hiring, XYZ, and also just like friends. I think if you're posting things that you love, people will see that. And in terms of dancing, I like to use my Instagram as a way to keep track of my progress. So I don't necessarily think that what I post is perfect, ever. I just like to post the content I have so that I have something to look back on as I get better and better.
My advice to younger dancers navigating social media and the current climate of the dance industry would be to remember to stop comparing yourself, because people are only posting the best parts of their life and the best parts of their experience on social media. Very rarely are people posting their failures or their mistakes. And I think in a lot of ways, especially in the dance industry, that social media is a facade because people are only sharing their victories. when that is not a realistic human experience. I also find that the confidence in the younger generations have gone down so much because they define their worth or their talent based off of how many likes or comments they've got on a video on Instagram or TikTok. And even when I was growing up competing, which wasn't even that long ago, I remember we all had iPhones and we were able to film, but that was never the intention. That was never the driving force. We wanted to step in the room to grow and to learn. And now I find that students, but also professionals in the industry, are essentially showing up for class just so they can get a video of themselves to promote themselves on social media. And although that is, of course, a valuable tool, and I'll even say necessary in a lot of ways so that you can show people your talents, but I feel that it's become the motive behind taking class. And I just think that that is really twisted, because we should be stepping into a room wanting to grow, wanting to learn, and wanting to be challenged. So I would just say stop comparing yourself. And I would say don't let your Instagram, your TikTok, whatever social media account that you're active on define who you are as a person or define who you are as a dancer.
The industry in South Korea is so different than the industry in America, and honestly it's different from the industry literally everywhere. So my biggest piece of advice to young dancers is to broaden your horizons of what the dance world actually is. Growing up, I had tunnel vision of this is what I have to do. I have to be in LA, I have to do this, and I have to have an agent, and I have to follow this path, and blah, 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 blah. And then once I got to school and I started to see the wider dance world, I was like, oh, there's more out here. There's more than dance conventions or whatever it is. There's so much out there, and there's a space in the entertainment industry for every kind of dancer. And I think people just need to search for their niche and find what part of the industry really speaks to them and where they fit into the puzzle that is the dance world. And maybe it means moving across the entire world, like I did, and you'll find where dance feels right.
I have some words of advice for people wanting to get started in social media, and that is to stay in your own lane. Don't compare yourselves to others. At the end of the day, we're all on our own journeys trying to make it, and whatever's meant for you will come for you. Secondly, be professional on what you're posting. Be cautious of what you're posting. You never know who is looking at your page and who will potentially book you. Lastly, never forget the reason why we started dancing. Don't think too heavily on the numbers. Don't be focused on that, because dance isn't about that. It's about sharing your gift with the world and inspiring others. So always just stay true to your heart and do what makes you happy.
I love dance because I need it to survive. It's my entire life. Like, I can't really go a day without dancing. Dance is the first thing I think about when I wake up. It's the last thing I think about before I go to bed. I plan my entire schedule based around what dance class I want to take that day, and I can't imagine what my life would be without it. It's my identity at this point. I think that as we move further and further into the digital age, online presence is just going to become more and more important. Being well-rounded in every style is important, but having your online presence is just one more tool to your belt. It's just one extra thing that will help you and set you up for success in the future. I think that being on stage and performing in front of people is the best feeling in the entire world. It's the feeling I chase after every day. It's what drives me. It's why I work so hard. And that's it. It's me. Dance is me.